My favorite part, tearing stuff up.
Yeah, this is the fun part. I looked into it and done a little bit of research. The way this thing was running, it would run, but it was really slow to accelerate, and it would kind of run rough, so it may have jumped a tooth with the timing. Now it'll still run, so that kind of gives me a little bit of hope. I'm gonna pull the valve cover. I got to pull the coils out and all that mess. We'll pull the valve cover, get it lined up so that we can check the time, then go from there. John has spent a lot of time this morning getting this engine cleaned up, and I appreciate that because this thing was absolutely disgusting. So we'll get this pulled and see where we stand as far as the timing goes. You ready?
Yep, let's get after it.
Boom. Dude, so we're taking the plugs out because we have to pull the coil packs anyway. Look at these plugs.
Yeah, that's bad. It's almost gone.
I wonder if this was the problem the whole time.
Don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, we're going to throw some new plugs and some coils in it. What do you think?
Yeah.
Let's try that.
Yeah, because it can't run better with those than new plugs.
No. We're going to give it a shot. Give it the old college try.
The way they're supposed to look, obviously not the way they're supposed to look. That's pretty bad. Get you a piece of fuel. If you're too cheap or you've broken your socket wrench and it no longer has a rubber boot inside of it, and you take your fuel hose, run it up on here, and you can safely guide it down into the hole. There it goes.
You just full of all kinds of useful information. This is some shade tree shit right here. That's what this is. We went ahead and replaced all the spark plugs and the ignition coils. So now we're gonna crank it and just see what it does. Because if those spark plugs were in that bad of a shape, more than likely it dumped raw fuel down the exhaust and plugged the cat up, and that's why it's running like hot garbage. All right, so we got an update on the Matrix. We actually ended up, the camera ended up overheating and cutting off. I'm using my phone, so that's not helping at all. But we ended up changing the ignition coils and the spark plugs and cranked it up, and the car ran beautifully. It sat there and idled. We let it sit there and run for a good 30-45 minutes, and it ran like a champ. No missing, no knocking, nothing. So we're thinking, hey, maybe we fixed the problem. We did have a concern, and come to find out it was right though. We took it down the road and it's still spitting and sputtering and backfiring when you try to get on it. That's telling us that the catalytic converter is plugged up, which is not surprising considering the shape of those spark plugs. And we also noticed a really bad exhaust leak, possibly at the manifold.
Might have been caused by the cat being clogged up. Back pressure.
That's a good point.
Yeah, could have blew it out.
Yeah, so we'll run to the auto parts store. We'll get another exhaust manifold gasket and maybe pop and swap the cat and put that exhaust manifold gasket on and see what she does.
Yep, sounds like a plan.
Couldn't hurt.
Nah.
Let's try it.
Anything's got to be an improvement from what we got now.
It's already improved. It's running like a champ. It's just don't accelerate worth of shit. So we'll see about it. We're gonna run into town, get some stuff, and we'll try again here in a few minutes. All right, I'm back, and I brought goodies. Got us a fresh battery, some exhaust gaskets, and some spray for the gaskets. So we're gonna see if we can't get this thing running correctly today. I think I can see our exhaust gasket leak in there. So we're gonna go ahead and get this thing changed out because, yeah, this thing is never gonna run right until we get that situated. I'm gonna go ahead and get these exhaust manifold I can't talk. Before I jack the car up, I'm gonna go ahead and get these exhaust manifold bolts broke loose so that I can go ahead and drop it. When I lift the car up, I can just get it unbolted and just move it out of the way. I don't have to take it completely out of the car, just enough out of the way so that I can get the gasket in. Last one. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so now I've got all the exhaust manifold bolts out. What I'm gonna have to do is jack the car up. I'm gonna have to unbolt it from the downpipe because I'm gonna be replacing that anyway because it has a catalytic converter in it. So I'll unbolt that, go ahead and pull that piece out, drop the manifold, and change that gasket. there's not going to be enough room for me to film this and do it at the same time. So basically, I've got to unbolt it right up there and drop this section back so that I can then pull the exhaust manifold down enough to change it. And I'll go ahead and change the catalytic converter while I'm under here, and I'll show you what the new one looks like here in a second. And here's the new catalytic converter pipe that I'm going to be installing. I've got the gasket and everything for it already up at the front of the car, but wanted to be able to sit it down and show it to you so you knew what we were looking at under the car itself. This is where it bolts in, comes back. This goes out to the muffler or towards the back of the car. O2 sensor connection. We're going to have to put a cone gasket in here, which I have, and those spring bolts and all that will go right here. Bolt it back up. This should be pretty simple, but I always say that and then it ends up being way more difficult than it's supposed to be. Bulb one is welded in place. Some have cut it out. Victory. All right, so now that I've got the downpipe out of the way, I can reach up here and get the exhaust manifold pop loose. Once I get a hold of it, I think there's another bracket that I need to unbolt. Yep, there it is, right down there. Once I get that unbolted, I can pop this loose and go ahead and change the manifold gasket and then put all this back together. So here's to hoping. All right, the exhaust manifold is off, and I just kind of got it laying down there right now because there was really no point in taking it out. Now, there are 5 bolts total holding that manifold onto the block, and then there's another one on a hanger up under it that I didn't see before. So finally just got that bolt out, and now the exhaust is loose. Now I'm going to change this gasket and put everything back together, mostly. That's the old gasket. I got a bunch of oil and stuff on it digging it out of there because I dropped it, but ended up wearing half of this copper gasket stuff. But there's the new gasket. We'll get it put on. All right, since there wasn't a lot of room to work with, there it is. She's in there. She's all tightened up. Now I've got to get the cat and the downpipe and all that put back in, back there. So I've got to get back under the car. Let me tell you how excited I am for that one. Back at it. I finally got it in there. That was real fun doing that by myself. But I ran into another problem. The old exhaust was welded together and I had to cut it out. Yeah. So I got to get a coupler. I cut it just a hair too short. Ain't that big of a deal, but I kind of still want to hear it run. So I think I'm going to put the battery in it and crank it. It's probably going to be loud because I don't have it hooked up to the exhaust. So we're still going to see what it sounds like, but now I'm curious. It's probably going to piss off my neighbors. I just want y'all to hear this. I just want to see if this fixes the issue that we had, because I can't hear an exhaust leak anymore, but I also can't hear much of anything else except the exhaust coming out of this cat. I don't hear anything coming out at the manifold, so we're just gonna see what happens. Before I couldn't get this car past about 30 miles an hour, and I'm just flying along at 60. Had no problems. I'm already loving this car. This is fun. It's really, really loud though, like stupid loud. That's why I'm in 4th gear at 60 at like 3,000 RPMs. Anything higher than that, I really can't stand it. All right, so I fixed the exhaust. It's not ridiculously loud anymore. It's a coupler and 2 clamps, and it does the job. That's all I'm worried about. So we got it all nice and quiet. The exhaust isn't gonna fall off the car now. John, you ready to take this thing down the road a piece?
This thing's actually running during this video.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
Yeah, let's take this thing for a ride.
Let's go, man. Let's go.
That's what's nice about such a small car. You can do a 3-point turn in your driveway.
Yeah, this feels weird. It feels like I'm wearing this car.
Oh, goodness, what?
This windshield's disgusting. Yeah, it's cracked. So
4th gear's ticket, 5th gear's prison.
5th gear is for school zones and passing cops. That's it. Dude, I'm embarrassed at how nasty this windshield is. I didn't realize how bad it actually was. This is awful. But it's pollen season in North Carolina, so you can hang up keeping your vehicle clean. That ain't gonna happen.
I pressure washed this car yesterday, just to let you know.
You
So
did.
that is the amount of pollen this thing has collected in one day.
This thing's fun as shit to drive. You wanna drive it?
Yeah, I can drive it.
Do it?
Yeah, I can drive it.
Alright.
You know what I got to do to be able to drive this car?
You know, if I had feelings, they'd be hurt right now. Easy. Easy.
On the horsepower.
All the hearses. It'll actually do it, won't it?
Yeah. Smooth.
Yeah.
For 287,000 miles.
It's a Yoda, man. As long as you keep oil and gas in it, it'll run forever.
Yes.
I mean, really.
Not bad at all. I couldn't see your driveway.
It's fine. I can't imagine why you would say that with this spotless windshield that I have on here.
Windshield blended it. Now, where's everybody coming from?
There's
Jesus Christ.
This windshield is absolutely nasty. I mean, it's awful.
Yeah.
And it's got a big old crack in it. I call it a win, John. You call it a win?
Yeah.
All right. I reckon next time we'll be doing the fun stuff to this car. A lot of those parts are still showing up, but by the time we get the next video out, we should have them all in, get them all installed and all that. So this is going to be fun. So, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. And until next time, y'all get up, get out there, get after it.